Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kim DeSerpa. I'm the board president for Pajaro Valley Unified School District. I'd like to welcome you to our board meeting tonight for May 25th, 2022.
Can't hear you good though.
Is this working? Yeah. Yeah, okay, good. Thank you. Tonight we are missing a few members of our board. Jennifer Holm. Well, I have to speak in the microphone because it is televised for the community, so we'll try to fix the echo, and I'll try to back up. We have a few trustees that have excuses tonight not to be here. We have Jennifer Holm, who is presenting on her PhD project, which she's just concluded, so congratulations to Jennifer. Miss Maria Roscoe is at an event at Watsonville Charter School for Women. For her son, who's starring in The Lion King tonight, so congratulations to the Orozco family. Jen Shocker is joining us remotely. Hi, Jen. Hopefully she can hear us. Can someone confirm if Jennifer Shocker is indeed on screen?
I wonder now if she can't hear us. She's at, I can't hear you. So we were going to have to turn that back.
Yeah, sorry we're having technical difficulties.
Here, I have an idea. How about this? I will call her and she can hear on here and then be on the screen.
Okay, that sounds okay to me.
She can do both.
And I believe Trustee Acosta called the superintendent this afternoon within a family emergency, so I'm not sure she'll be here.
She won't.
She will not, okay. There's a lot of new faces here tonight. If you'd like to speak on any of the agenda items, please fill out a speaker card in the in the back of the room, and give those put which item you'd like to speak to on the agenda, and give those cards to Ava. She'll get those to us, and we'll call you up in an orderly fashion. You have 2 minutes to address the board. This is an open meeting of the board. But we're not allowed to respond to speakers, but we do take your comments very seriously, and we'll consider them after the board meeting. Thank you. We also have Spanish translation, and our translator is sitting right over here, so if you need a little translation tonight, please see Orania, who's filling in. Thank you. Next, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, and so sorry. Trustee Daniel Dodge will lead us in the pledge. Do we have Jen Shocker yet?
She is on.
She is on. Can she hear us?
Yes, she can.
Okay, great.
We're going to have echo.
Oh, as a result, okay.
I don't know which one.
Excuse us while we iron out some technical difficulties. I'll just start out by making a few comments. The events that occurred yesterday in Texas have left all of us nationwide heartbroken. We must do something about guns in this country so that our children are protected. I'm going to read the names of all the children and the 2 adults that were killed. And I'm going to start with Javier Lopez, Lizia Garcia, Tess Maria Mata, Rogelia Torres, Nevea Bravo, Miranda Mathis, Mady Rodriguez, McKenna Lee Elrod, Layla Salazar, Alejandra Anaya Rubio, Alethea Ramirez, Amary Jo Garcia, Annabelle Guadalupe Rodriguez,Elijana Cruz Torres, Eliana Garcia, Jose Flores, Jackie Cazaresio, Jaila Nicole Silguero, and JC Yavuenos. And they're very courageous instructors. They're teachers, Eva Morales and Irma Garcia. We are deeply, deeply sorry for what happened to these kids. And we hope it doesn't ever happen again. And we have to do something as a country. Thank you. Next up, we'll have Dr. Rodriguez comments.
So before my comments, leading from that, I'm going to ask that we do a moment of silence in recognition to the victims. So we'll have that moment. Thank you very much. So earlier today, I wrote a letter to all staff, students, and families regarding the tragedy. I want to encourage everyone, if you need assistance, right? I went into 3 schools today, and I saw in the eyes of students and I saw in the eyes of staff how the tragedy had really impacted everyone within our system. I want to, within the letter was a lot of links to resources. Please reach out. Sometimes people feel that reaching out is a sign of weakness. It actually is a sign of strength when you can admit that you need help. We have everything from our social emotional counselors, our mental health clinicians, our behaviorists, and our support staff at the Wellness Center. So whether it's a Saturday or a Tuesday night at 6 p.m., we have services for you. So we are going to do additional steps within the district to continue to see how we can fortify our safety measures. But I want everyone to take the time to grieve and feel and know that we are here to support each other as a community. So thank you very much.
Danny, do you have anything to comment on?
I just want to briefly, thank you for saying the names of the teachers and the students that were tragically lost, and let's just keep them in our present memories. Thank you.
Trustee Soto?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I too want to extend some heartfelt prayers out to the community of Uvalde, Texas. Very, very unfortunate and unnecessary event that occurred yesterday. it's a very real situation that can happen anywhere, and we need to be aware of our surroundings when we're anywhere. Pay attention to what's going on around you, because you never know what could happen. Kind of changing gears a little bit. Just want to congratulate all the graduates of 2022, and good luck in your endeavors and your futures. Thank you.
Thank you. And do we have Jen Shocker on the line? Is she able to talk?
She still can't hear us. Yeah, she can't hear
She cannot hear? Well, she needs to be able to hear, or we don't have quorum.
Can you tell her that I'm going to call her? We'll do it by phone.
I'll send her a message when, so her turn to,
But we can't continue until she...
Do we have Dan Weiser here? Where's Dan?
Hello.
Hey there, we're gonna need to do everything via phone right now because it's just not working and we don't have quorum without you.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to log, you want me to just log in to Zoom audio and then I can type in on Zoom conversation, or what's easier?
Everybody can hear you. We're just gonna have you on my phone. And
Okay.
you can watch via the streaming. Is that fine? And then listen
Yeah.
through here?
Yeah, that's fine. And
Okay.
then I'll send through Zoom if there's a problem.
Sounds good. And we are at comment. So board member comment, we just did our moment of silence and all the rest of the board members did their comments. Would you like to do a comment?
Yes, I just want to let everyone know that I'm joining via Zoom and we have some Zoom problems, but I'm here, I'm watching on one Zoom link, and then I'll communicate with you through the phone. So thank you everyone for coming tonight.
Sounds good. I'm just putting this right here because
Oh, okay. Got
otherwise
it.
I have to hold it.
Sorry, okay. In this last week, I attended the Seal of Biliteracy event, and we're so proud of our students. How many students were there this year for the Seal of Biliteracy?
186 received the seal of biliteracy.
Which is unbelievable. When we started the Seal of Biliteracy, I think there were like 8 students that received it that year, and we've increased the number of students that receive this special designation, being biliterate in obviously more than one language. Some of them 3 or 4 languages. So it's just super. It's a beautiful event with the families, and so I want to thank everybody that was there and congratulate those students. I also attended a Pajaro Valley Prevention and Student Assistance meeting this week. We are actively looking for a new executive director to continue to lead that agency forward. Erica Padilla Chavez took a job with Second Harvest. She's their new executive director, and so we're really going to miss her, but looking forward to new leadership. So I will be on the search committee that helps to choose a new executive director. The other event I attended was our retirement celebration, where we recognized and celebrated our certificated and classified staff for their many, many years of dedication to our district. And it was a beautiful event. It was about a 2-hour event, and each site administrator, each principal came up and talked about the contributions that those employees made to the campus over the years, many of them 40-plus year employees. So it was just a really beautiful event, and I want to congratulate and honor all of our retirees and thank them for their many years of service to our district. So tonight, I'd also like to acknowledge some donations, special donations to our Emerald Lagasse Culinary Garden and Teaching Kitchen. And I want to receive with great gratitude from Bud and Rebecca Colligan a $50,000 donation towards this amazing project. Thank you very much. And also to our colleagues and friends at the Watsonville City Council for their pledge and donation of $100,000 towards the garden. So, Dr. Rodriguez, how much more do we need to raise at this point?
Just a little over 100,000.
Just a little over 100,000, okay. Thank you. Thanks to the people who donated. And also to the Monterey Peninsula Foundation for the Watsonville High School Sober Grad Night. like to thank our colleagues at the Monterey Peninsula Foundation for that donation. Item 3.5 are our high school student board reports, and we're going to hear, I think, from Diamond Tech. Did they send a video? Can we roll that?
Good evening, President D. Serpa, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Dr. Michelle Rodriguez. I am Adriana Jimenez and soon to be a Diamond Tech grad. It has been very busy at Diamond this past month with field trips, events, and projects. We had a chance to visit Fresno State, which is the alma mater of our principal and also where a few of our graduates are attending. We also had a really fun day in Moss Landing for our science kayaking trip with our juniors and seniors. Our Apunta this year was the biggest one we have ever had with over 30 vendors and a lot of shoppers. Of course, we'll be having another one in October, so be on the lookout for that next year. We also had our 8th annual business board competition. This competition has a scholarship that is given by our industry partner, Santa Cruz Community Credit Union. There were some really amazing business ideas being pitched from our techies. Student leadership planned a park cleanup at Ramsey for Earth Day. Many students showed up for the day and got community service. Our 9th and 10th graders had an opportunity to do a leadership day at Sunset Beach. They had to do tasks such as build a tent blindfolded as a team and a catapult, and then reflect on the results of their teamwork. It looked like a lot of fun. We had a freshman orientation and open house showcase on May 11th. The teachers presented all of our work over the year. It was hard to believe we actually did all of that. During the open house, we also had an art show. Here's some of the art that was displayed from the Redwoods photo shoot. Big congratulations to Xiomara Hipolito, who won for her submission for the cover of AIM, which is a local youth mental health organization. She was awarded at the Sunset Center in Carmel, and her art will be used for a year on their promotional booklet. I'm happy to announce that all of our seniors passed their senior defense. This is where the seniors defend that they have achieved the mastery of their learning over their 4 years at Diamond Tech. The other grades also do a passage defense where they defend the mastery of learning over the last year. We would like to invite the board to our commencement ceremony, which will be held on June 1st in the Mello Center at 5:30 p.m. Have a great Memorial Weekend, and don't forget to follow us on social media, and thank you again for the opportunity to share what we have been doing at Diamond Tech. I will miss you guys. Please don't forget me.
We won't forget you, Adriana. Congratulations to all the seniors for passing their senior defense. That's awesome. That was a great video. Next up is Hermann Gonzalez from Watsonville High School. What was that? I think you are. Last but not least. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for being here.
No problem. It was actually kind of a trip to be here. I've kind of been at home with COVID for like the last 11 days, but after 3 negative tests today, we're good. So, nice. Should I begin? Awesome. Well, hello everyone. And once again, and for the last time, my name is Hermann Rafael Gonzalez, representative from Watsonville High School. And I might possibly go over 5 minutes. I apologize if I do, but not really. Starting off, stay at 5 minutes, then I'll say everything that I need to say at 5 minutes. Starting off, as always, with our athletics. Watsonville High School has been wrapping up all of our different competitions and events and competitions and events. A big shout out to Watsonville High School's very own Caitlin Ruiz for making it to CCS finals for track and field with Watsonville High School's boys volleyball team and Watsonville High School's ever amazing girls softball team for also making it to CCS. Our sports teams, I didn't shout out every single sports team on this slide, but our sport teams this year have been doing incredibly well, especially considering the difficult year that we came back off on. Speaking more of athletics, Powder Puff. Watsonville High School had their end of the year Powder Puff game organized by ASB. We had the junior girls and the senior girls going up against each other in a flag football game. And we have a picture of the senior team. I wasn't able to get a picture of the junior team, but that's the team, and you're able to see our coaches to the right. It wasn't a number 2, but here talking a bit about Wildcats life and what's been happening for these last few weeks. On May 6th, we celebrated Dia de la Madre and Dia del Niño. It was like a joint celebration. Mothers and families who joined us were treated to a free dinner of, I believe it was tacos. I can't exactly remember completely, but we had a whole host of different performances, from musical performances to folklorico to theatric performances. And I just want to give a big shout out to Watsonville High School's Dream Club and World Languages Department, because Profesora Novoa said to shout them out. Continuing, all good things must come to an end, but that doesn't mean that we can't celebrate it. Watsonville High School seniors have been celebrating their final Spirit Week of their high school career. All Spirit Days are listed to the left of the text. As you can see, we had our summer outfit of the day on Wednesday. Tuesday, our Time Travel Tuesday, where we imitated an old picture. Wednesday was a wacky hair day. Tomorrow will be a throwback Thursday, and Friday will be college and career. We will also be hosting our final rally, packing all of our seniors and most of our students into the new gym, and we look forward to making all of our seniors cry really, really hard with the Kiss a Senior Goodbye video, as we always do. Graduation and grad night are coming in very, very, very soon, with graduation happening next Friday and grad night continuing from that Friday onto that Saturday morning. So it's going to be a massive event. We're renting out a large portion of the boardwalk, and we're going to have laser tag. I forgot. Laser tag's the main thing that's been in my head. So it's really exciting. It's really sad. It's really depressing. But yeah, we're all looking forward to it. PVSD Students for Change passed the decision of the board to continue the PVSD as pilot program for SROs and mental health clinicians combined. A lot of students were not feeling, let's say, content with that decision. So many of them took to making their presence aware online and also making posters, going to the Placita on Friday to share their thoughts, share their opinions and what they were feeling, as they always should and as they always will, moving on to the next steps of their lives. Right there we have a QR code that may not be completely scannable, but PVSD Students for Change compiled a list of demands and wants for issues that they see present in Watsonville and the PVSD. If anyone would like to scan it, they should, and hear some of the amazing ideas that they have. Seniors have begun wrapping up their classes. Juniors and sophomores are getting ready to move on to the next year, and a new pack of 9th graders are soon to be entering. Some of it got cut off, but essentially what I was trying to get at is that we all have to say goodbye, including me, so I'd like to take just 1 to 2 minutes, hopefully, to reflect a little bit and say thank you, not thank you, and just speak a little about speak a tiny bit about Watsonville High School, so this will be quick. Freshman day orientation, I entered freshman orientation. It was 600 of us, and we were all divided into thirds in the new gym, sitting at 200 of us in each of the bleachers. And my ASB director then told us, we start with a class of 600 in 9th grade, and we graduate 400. So a whole section of those bleachers, 200 students, will be gone by the time we're a 12th grader. I think back to that a lot, and I think back to what that signifies. That a lot of Watsonville High School students struggle a lot, go through a lot, and oftentimes, for lack of resources, lack of support, familial issues, are unable to finish high school. And that's really depressing. And even so many amazing students who are about to graduate are going off to some of the best universities in the world. We have almost like 10 students going to UC Berkeley, many going to UCSD, some going to top 10 universities, and some staying here to help their community. And so I've just been thinking a lot about Watsonville High School, the difficult circumstances that we face, and just seeing how people at Watsonville High School make the most of it. I was told that this position as representative of Watsonville High School is, and to some extent, performative, and I agree. I mean, I'm just kind of speaking about the fun events at Watsonville, but I think the most important thing has been showing that Watsonville High School is genuinely a really good school. no matter how oftentimes that's denied or it's compared to Aptos or other schools in different areas, because it is constantly. And so I just hope that going forward, going into the next year, that this board, that everyone in the PVSD keeps in mind that those 200 students that disappear every 4 years, that they're still out there, and that we can keep them in our high school, and that they matter too. So please, if there's one thing, just please keep that in mind. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Hermann.
Yeah.
We really appreciated your voice in the past year, and we wish you all the best in your schooling up at Stanford. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Orozco has joined us. Thank you for coming, Maria. I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda. I do want to apologize for being late. I was actually on my son's Lion King performance. So that's the reason why I was a couple minutes late. But with that, I would like to make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Did Jen say aye? Yeah, I do. Okay, thank you. Motion passes 502. Next up, we have the approval of our minutes from May 11th, 2022. Looking for a motion?
I move to approve.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay, so the motion carries 4-1-1. Next up, we have our employee organization comments, and we'll start with PVFT. Is there anyone here tonight? Yeah, hi, Nellie.
Good evening, Board. Feels weird to still have the sun out, actually. So, good evening.
Point of order, if I may. I'm sorry, Nellie, for interrupting you. We forgot item 6.1. Yes, we do.
Oh, okay, well, come back.
Apologize.
All right, I already said good evening, so that's cool.
Okay, thank you for that point of order. I'm sorry, we have public comment. We have visitor non-agenda items, and we have several speakers tonight.
Yes, we do. We have 7. Just one quick question for clarification. James Ewing Whitman, you are 6.1? You're speaking under item 6.1 for clarification?
That's up.
I'm speaking on public comments. The reason I'm down here, I'm not seeing on the agenda. But I was
That's okay, then that's
all right.
perfect.
Okay, so it would be,
6.1.
all right, you're up first.
You're going to kick us off. If you would just say your name into the microphone, that would be great. It's for the record and for the viewing public who are watching this live streaming right now.
I haven't heard that today. Yesterday, several times. Hi, my name is James Ewing Whitman. I'm actually down here to kind of question what's going on with the parents not being able to participate in any activities because they're not vaccinated. But I haven't found that on this yet. So I don't know if anybody noticed, but I didn't say the Pledge of Allegiance. You know, any flag that has a gold fringe around it is a pirate flag. Our nation was taken over to February 23rd, 1871. And that's a corporate flag. That's not the U.S. flag. So I'll never say Pledge of Allegiance to that. So what I'm going to say may sound offensive, but under my First Amendment rights, I can say what I want. But only what I'm saying, these quotes, if you're not only someone not thinking wouldn't find this offensive. I approve to the chemist to discover a humane gas that will instantly and painlessly, deadly by all means, but humane, not cruel. This is George Bernard Shaw. Another quote of his: I am a communist, but not a member of the Communist Party. Stalin is a first-rate Fabian. I am one of the founders of Fabianism, and as such, I am very friendly to Russia. Also, George Bernard Shaw. we have leadership in this county that went to the London School of Fabian Economics. And that's basically practicing eugenics. I have 25 seconds. There is so much information about the PCR tests were never designed for what they were going to do. All these lockdowns and what's happening to the children is really diabolical. I've spoken here before, and I couldn't believe how much beauty there was with the teachers that were here. Apparently they are paid the least in this county, but there's a lot of beauty here, and I'd like to keep seeing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Gary Richard Arnold.
Chairman, board members, Gary Richard Arnold. I think we need to start correcting what's involved with your curriculum, especially civics. Very few people know what AMBAG is. AMBAG is Association of Monterey Bay Area Governments. It overpowers, it overrules. They've been moving the authority from AMBAG, from elected officials like city councils and boards of supervisors, to what is basically a COG, a California COG. Every square inch of California is covered by a Council of Governments, which is a Soviet. There you've got the stakeholders, the Driscolls, the Panettas, and the Packards making the decisions. And I noticed on your card, everybody that grabbed one of those cards, not 3 minutes anymore, it's 2. That comes under Panettistan. These decisions are not made by you, they're inculcated. The head of the national, the president, lifetime member of the National Education Association is John Dewey. John Dewey praised the Soviet Bolsheviks. He said, we must create children that are citizens, a citizen of the world, exactly what you're doing there, a global community. Your people do not know about the Constitution or a sovereign country, and you're allowing a sanctuary city to bring in the fentanyl, the gangs, recruiting your daughters for God knows what, because of sanctuary cities and a sheriff that would not take a report that threatened a couple, the Granges here. They threatened both the property and the persons of the Grange, and the sheriff in this county would not take action. There is a cabal, and it's a Panetta machine, and it's evil. There is also, if you look at Leon Panetta, if you look up Panettagate, you'll find that he gave military and policy information to the Red Chinese. It was Dr. Charles Lieber from Harvard that worked with Wuhan on the gain of function. You need to know what's going on. You don't know any civics, and your attack against the Second and First Amendment is...
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next.
Jennifer Prophet.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Prophet. I'm an English teacher at Renaissance High School. Today, Dr. Rodriguez gave me a cookie, says PVUSD Cares. Early in the school year, I got this t-shirt, says PVUSD Cares. I see on the electronic display when I come in, PVUSD Cares. But really, in my experience, it doesn't feel like PVUSD Cares. I was hit by a student in my classroom on January 25th. The student received no consequences ever and was never made to take any action to repair the harm that was caused. Instead, the student was rewarded with his preferred outcome of switching out of my class. Support staff at Renaissance sought to ensure that there was no accountability for the student. Site admin allowed these folks to take over a disciplinary response process and ensure that the student would never perform action to repair the harm that was done. In so doing, staff and admin silenced my voice and tried to erase the truth of what happened to me in my classroom when a student hit me. As a result, I do not trust my admin or school support staff. There is a toxic workplace culture at Renaissance that needs to be addressed by the district, and we need district-level intervention to repair the broken relationships at our school site. PVUSD wants to implement restorative justice at school sites, and Renaissance was supposed to be a pilot, but I have to tell you, there's no RJ happening at Renaissance. RJ includes repair of harms. Harm done to me by the student was never repaired, nor the harm done to me by staff. Harm doesn't disappear if it's not addressed. As a result, I can't say with confidence that I'll be able to return next year because my heart is utterly broken. I want to be at a place where I'll be treated with dignity at a minimum. So I cannot accept these gifts because to me, it's like pouring salt on a wound when I see the logo.
Thank you for your comment. Next up, we have Rachel Hitchcock.
Hello, Dr. Rodriguez and board. You might know me. I've been at Amesti 20 years. Love it. I love being a teacher. I loved it even this year. And I continue to love being a science teacher. I want to learn as much as I can. I want to grow and get more. And so that's why this year I went to a training put on by Jennifer Shocker to help me work with my SDC and my RISE classes, because they're literally killing me. And I'm only with them for an hour. And then I want to get in a corner and cry. They are so hard. And I feel like a failure every time I have them, twice a week. And I don't know how I'm going to do it next year because I am concerned about SELPA's decision with our RISE program at Amesti. They are going to combine the lower grade and the upper grade together into one. First graders who hurt people are going to be with fifth graders who hurt people. Fifth graders are going to be with second graders. They're going to throw stools. They're going to grab them. They're going to scream at them. They do it to me. And SELPA says it'll be okay. We have been telling them all year it's not okay in the RISE program. We don't have enough staff. The kids are already eloping. They're destroying my room. They destroy my materials. They cry. They scream. We have to be stuck inside, or we have to remove ourselves and go outside while they destroy my room. Andy has already, the teacher, lost her prep so many times because her kids are in crisis. We don't have enough support. I had to be by myself last week because she was subbing for a teacher who was out because we don't have enough subs. And I was alone because the BT needed a break. I had 9 kids. You'd be, oh, it's no problem. It's a problem. That's not about the numbers. It's about their needs. Why are they moving her? Maybe because she's asking hard questions. Maybe because they need her somewhere else, but we need her.
Thank you for your comment.
2 people doing this program, not 1. Thank you for your time.
Next up, Chris Webb.
I would like to thank Board President Trustee DeSerpa for permitting my comment at the last meeting to be read in absentia. One thing I would add to that is just a question of whether PVUSD will support teachers who defend their oath to the Constitution in the face of police misconduct against students, if that possibility comes. I think given the data that we saw where the program we have is not unique and it's not actually different and showing negative interactions with certain demographics in SROs, I think that's a serious question PVSD needs to consider. And that program, SRO program, allowing it to continue outright and leave pilot status is bad enough, but then like ignoring that we're not really different in terms of who's being most negatively affected, that's disconcerting. But then furthermore was that a seeming indifference to Sheriff Hart's basically lying to the public about the funding for that program. Education dollars shouldn't be siphoned off to subsidize law enforcement agencies who already have an obligation to the district. And also, as someone who's at the pilot school for restorative practices, I was a little disturbed by how restorative practices was tied to the SR program. Not because restorative practices are bad, but because I found the PVSD brand of restorative practices to not be that restorative, but rather permissive. And bolstering that program is surprise suspensions. And I feel bad for my students because I feel like they're being set up in a way because we enable misconduct and then suddenly and inconsistently draw these lines with harsh consequences. I'm thankful that the harm is not compounded at Renaissance with legal ramifications that an SRO could bring. I'm thrown off by that no timer.
Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you for your comment.
Oh,
Chris.
that's, I feel like, here, let me just close on my last part. Look, if we're serious about restorative justice, we need leadership that's really committed to it, and we need restorative justice coordinators at every site, not necessarily SROs.
Thanks again. All right, the next one, I hope I get right, because you did enunciate it here on the card, Azria Garza. Is that correct? Is she here? Renaissance? Azria Garza?
Azariah is her name. She couldn't be here. I'm reading her comment. Hi, my name is Azariah. I attend Renaissance High School. I'm sorry I'm not here to address the situation due to work. A teacher at Renaissance High School had no child care and brought his newborn and toddler to school for the day. They were well behaved and were not a disruption to the class. For the rest of the week, we had a sub because the school didn't allow him to bring his kids to school. I believe that teachers should be able to bring their children under a liability contract, or schools should provide a child care program for teachers. The average monthly pay for a teacher runs from $2,000 to $3,000. Daycare for two children can be almost $2,000 monthly. If we want to retain our teachers and keep them attending, we need to have flexibility. We need to have a liability contract to bring kids, provide a child care program, have family leave available. And also teachers should be able to take 2 weeks off paid when they have a newborn, both parents. This teacher is a male, and also showed other male students that not only women take care of children. Thank you, and I hope we can come together as a community to help our teachers out. Since she has 50 seconds, I want to take them and just say,
Yeah, Chris, no.
Yeah.
There's-
I didn't even let you
You had your
read it,
time. Thank
actually.
you.
Thank you. Okay,
3 more.
who's next?
Neilani Lopez.
So you want to point it at the bottom, right? So the,
Is Neilani here? Lopez?
yeah. There it is. Yeah, so the sensor is right at the bottom.
Hi. Oh. Hi. Is it working? Or?
Press the button that says speak.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's on.
We PVSD Students for Change believe in the empowerment of student voices. We believe that students deserve to have a voice and a say in student and district decisions. We believe that PVSD should be completely transparent about their funding as it directly affects our schools and communities. We believe that students deserve to have a fair education by having qualified teachers in every classroom so we can graduate and fulfill our A through G requirements so we can have access to a higher education. We believe that PVSD teachers and staff deserve a substantial pay increase. We believe that we have a right to have a say in the renovation and the facilities of our campuses. We believe that students should have access to clean bathrooms with access to menstrual products. We believe that students, regardless of their gender identity and sexual orientation, deserve to have easy, accessible, gender-neutral bathrooms that are open at all times. We believe that students have access and opportunity to meet with both social, emotional, and academic counselors on a regular basis. We believe that suspension and expulsions do more harm than good because they are depriving students of education, social emotional support, and a safe space. We believe in restorative justice. We believe that SROs contribute to the school-to-prison pipeline. Criminalize our community and they do not belong in PVSD schools. We believe that PVSD students deserve a better education, facilities, and support than what we are receiving right now. Below are a list of demands and changes that we wish to see in PVSD schools.
Student voice. We want a student advocacy course to be taught at PVSD schools. We want an ongoing survey created by students asking about their personal experience with issues in PVSD schools and how it's impacted them. We want the opportunity to connect with the underclassmen through advisory mix classes and academic events held throughout the year. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Marisela Valderas.
Push to start.
Okay, thank you. Should I restart? Okay. We want free and diverse menstrual products in all bathrooms on campuses. We want the appropriate janitorial staff necessary to ensure the campus sanitation. We want bathroom renovations that will positively affect the campus environment. We want teachers. We want teachers in every classroom for every subject for the entirety of the school year. We want to avoid ingenuity by having teachers for that subject. We want qualified and culturally competent students to teach their subject. We want transparency with how PVSD is using funds for each school site. We want more funding for staff as well. We want more social emotional counselors that are proportional to the amount of students on campus. We want Watsonville High School Well Center to be open for the entire day of school. We want academic counselors to be more easily accessible. We want additional academic counselors to lessen their caseload of students on how they can focus on a smaller group of students. We want students to have at least one meeting a semester with their academic counselors. We want no suspension or expulsion without exhausting all other options. We want all students to have access to peer redemption modules and restorative justice practices at school sites. We want school resource officers to be excluded from all suspension, expulsion, and restorative practices.
Thank you. And our last speaker to 6.1 is Marilyn Garrett.
Thank you to the students for their excellent statement. And in line with this, we need to assure that we have a safe and healthy learning and working environment. And by putting students and everyone in a microwave radiation environment with all the Wi-Fi and all the antennas and cell phones, that's actually documented to endanger everyone. One of the trustees, Jennifer, last time asked, what is the most important thing in keeping kids out of harm's way? Well, remove the harm that you are imposing upon them. I want to refer you to Dr. Sharon Goldberg, who testified against the rollout of 5G in Michigan. October 4th of 2018, she stated, wireless radiation has biological effects, period. It's no longer a subject of debate. These effects are seen in all life form, plants, animals, insects, humans. Clear evidence of cancer. We're seeing all of these epidemics. And the closer people live to cell towers or work near cell towers that you keep putting in on campuses, the more ill effects we see. 3 main epidemics are related to these microwave exposures: health, suicide epidemic, opioid epidemic, congestive heart failure, diabetes. Remove the harm. And there is one candidate running for governor who has addressed this issue, and what's the rest for 5G? That is Renette Senum. Renette Senum, the former mayor of Nevada City. I want to see all elected officials like yourself and at the county government and city level advocate for removal of this harm. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. And next up, we have item 7, employee organization comments, and we'll try again with PVFT. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm back. Okay.
So, Nellie, I'll be timing you on my phone.
Okay. All right. Well, we are fast approaching the end of the school year, this long, arduous school year, and it hasn't gotten any easier for many of our teachers as we see cases still continuing and vacancies that were never filled, plus now more absences. School sites are impacted. I went in last week and helped out at a school site. stepping into a classroom to sub for a day, and my back still hurts. It was first grade, so they were smaller. And our teachers are still, they're just exhausted, and we are looking forward for the summer break so that they can take a very, very, very well-deserved break themselves. But as we approach the end of this year and the district is handing out their assignments for the following school year, it is really disappointing to see that the SELPA continues to mismanage the program. This is why we have so many SELPA vacancies. This is why many SELPA teachers leave, because the administration does not treat their people well. And the decisions that they're making are made presented in the way of, here's the position you're going to get next year. It's the only one available. Then silence, and that is insinuating then you have a the resignation date is June 30th. The ECE has made is making their decisions. One is very disappointing in that for us, as we have been part of representing many members through the ECE program, the early childhood program. One member in particular, the only male preschool teacher in this program, who advocates, who is constantly, I think the expectation on him is a lot greater, is being moved, is being told that he needs to move, and is actually losing pay because he's also being not allowed to continue as a site supervisor. The decision for that decision is ridiculous. I believe that it's retaliatory for all of the advocacy that this teacher has made for himself. And so we stand by him, and actually I hear from their entire school site that this preschool is attached to, who is very upset to hear this news as well as parents. So that, as the president of the PVFT, and moving into the summer and thinking about this upcoming year and seeing the resignations and retirements that we have still coming in, it is concerning that instead of honoring the people who are here, they are giving them ultimatums in a way when they say you're going to move, or else, whatever, you make your decision, resignation by June 30th. I've let the district know this is a teacher's market right now. We cannot afford to mistreat our people. One of the things that happened during our negotiations this year was the district not wanting to honor the school psychologists, school nurses, SLPs, program specialists, that salary schedule equal to the same amount of increase of $4,000 of increase to the salary schedule. They only offered them $2,000 plus an off salary raise, and that was the only way that the district was willing to move forward in reaching an agreement. This is a group of people that are absolutely needed. This is a group of people who mainly work under the SELPA and are filled, and so there's a lot of agency people that you have to approve those contracts as they come in. They get paid just as much, and from what we're hearing, some of these people are remote, so the actual work that they cannot do in person is handed off on an individual who is here, so increasing the workload. Again, disrespecting the actual employees in this district who build connections with the students and the families. It is our families and our students who lose when they don't have a proper educator in there that is consistent every day, all year long, in that classroom or providing the service for their child. You heard it from our students earlier. They want teachers. They want the staff that is going to be fully employed, gainfully employed in this district.
Thank you,
Thank
Nellie.
you. There's a lot more I can say, but I know my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have CSEA, our California School Employees Association. Is there anyone speaking tonight on their behalf? Okay. How about PAVAM 7.3? Okay, I hear Claudia's out there.
Okay. Hello again.
Hi.
So good evening, President DeSerpa, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Rodriguez. So my name is Claudia Monjaras, and I'm here today actually representing our Assessment, Curriculum, and Instruction Department, otherwise known as ACI. So our team really is very proud to be a part of our PVSD community, and we've enjoyed partnering with our teachers and administrators to support our students through our different content areas. At the high school level, we are finishing our first full year of our World History Ethnic Studies course, which has been available to our 10th grade students. Will also be continuing our work around our ethnic literature and studies courses for the upcoming school year. And this year we actually had training, so we had 2 cohorts of teachers. One cohort was working, they participated in training over the course of the school year, and it was through UCSC, and they had partnered with CRE. And then the other cohort, which was our high school teachers, they participated in a community of practice directly with the CRE company. At the last board meeting, we were able to hear about a VAPA update from Sue Gralty around music, visual art, dance, theater, film, and community partnerships. She also works with our GATE students. We've just finished identification, and parent letters are being sent out this week. GATE family meetings are being set up for fall of 2022. And for science, so starting this summer from June 19th to the 29th, we have 18 PVUSD Latinx Rising Juniors and Seniors from PV High School, Watsonville High School, Aptos High, PCCS, and DTI. They will be living on the UCSC campus as they engage in science investigations, data collection, and field work as participants in DIG Camp. And DIG is Data in Geosciences Collaboration and Mentoring Program. This program is funded by the National Science Foundation, and it's a partnership between PVUSD, UC Santa Cruz, and UC Berkeley's Lawrence Hall of Science. The purpose of the program is to foster our students' interest in, exposure to, and understanding of science, to improve the likelihood that typically underrepresented students in the STEM field will pursue related fields of study or careers. Supporting them with Latinx UCSC undergraduate mentors and scientists, students will see science as a possible career pathway. This year, we were able to collaborate with a committee of elementary teachers for the report card committee. This committee helped us revise the TK through 5th grade reports of progress for the upcoming 22-23 school year, so that now all of those report cards are aligned with Common Core standards at each of the grade levels. We were also able to renew opportunities to hear teacher voices around instructional decisions through our curriculum council meetings. Our elementary teachers are currently finishing their 3rd year of implementation using both the Benchmark Advance Adelante curriculum resources, as well as resources that our language art team had built last school year. We look forward to refining our support next year based on teacher feedback and current experience in the classroom. And this is going to allow us to help build more robust in-class supports this coming year in language arts and with our other content area coaches. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Claudia. And next we have 7.4 CWA. Is there anyone here for Communication Workers of America? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to report and discussion items. And this is item 8.1, a report on the Watsonville High School softball field. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, but we need yeah, that's okay. No, that's 8.1. Hi.
Hey, good evening. Good evening, President Serpa, Board of Trustees, Dr. Rodriguez, and Cabinet. At a previous board meeting, we were asked to present information on the update for the softball fields. So when I was asked to do this, I was very honored, since I'm a Watsonville High School alum. I'm a parent of Watsonville High School alums. I'm the Watsonville High School booster treasurer and a former Watsonville High School softball coach. So this is near and dear to my heart. I also brought along with me two of my former players that are currently playing at Watsonville High School. I'll let them introduce themselves. V.
My name is Veronica Alvarez. I am currently a senior at Watsonville High School.
And Allie.
My name is Alessandra Carmona, and I am a junior at Watsonville High School.
And let's see if I can get this going. Okay. So I'd like to start off with a brief history of, I believe, why we were asked for this presentation back in 17, 18. Some parents, coaches, and admin got together to decide on and talk about what can be done to the Watsonville High School softball fields. And these are some of the things that we came up with that were immediate needs. Dugouts, uniforms, helmets, landscaping, restrooms, facilities, and fencing. Those were just a few of the immediate needs. So these were the dugouts prior to any kind of upgrades. You can see that it was pretty unsafe. There were openings, and anytime it rained, there was puddles, and so that was then, and this is now. These are the new dugouts at Watsonville High School. You can see they're much safer, and they have a concrete base, so that's one of the upgrades. And we also have Willie on the back of one of the dugouts, so that's really one of the other things we talked about were uniforms. So this was a sample of one of our uniforms prior. You can see that it was basically a dry fit t-shirt with an iron on. And now these are my lovely models to show that what Watsonville High School's uniforms actually look like now. So we were able to get them new uniforms and new helmets, because the helmets that they had were very old, and for obvious reasons, we wanted to get those replaced. So we were able to get new helmets for the team as well. Another thing that we talked about was landscaping. One of the biggest things were there were large trees, these shrubbery bushes that were right behind the bleachers, and they weren't very sanitary. And so those have all been removed. There is Gopher Abatement being done out there for the outfield of the softball fields, and we're getting on a routine mowing before the games. Some of the areas that are in progress right now are in the outfield. There's still rain. When it rains, it sinks in, so there's a few areas in the outfield where the girls can potentially sprain their ankle or hurt themselves, so we want to get those filled with dirt. And the infield dirt, as it rains, the infield dirt gets washed away, and we no longer have the crown that allows the water to drain well off the field. So we'll be getting more dirt in there, and it'll help with that transition lip that's there from the infield to the outfield. Right now, currently, there's a lip there. So the other thing are restrooms. That was a big thing. And thanks to ESSER, one-time monies, they did approve that we can get our restroom redone and updated. So that's huge. And the project's going to be completed around September 30th of 23. That's what we're shooting for. Also in the 23 budget, there's facility funds that we are able to use for ADA accessibility. So now we will be doing a paved walkway from the Lincoln Street entrance. So anybody who needs a wheelchair or anything can easily get to the bleachers. And we'll also be updating those metal, leaky, dangerous containers out there that are used as sheds. And we'll be updating those with some more I guess, safer sheds out there. And then we also talked about fencing. So as I don't know if you remember some time back, a track and field player got hit on the head with a softball. So the softballs go over. So what they did is, because we had issues with DSA to try to get a, not a fence, but a net up there, and there were issues with DSA, so we just changed the schedule. So there won't be any track and field events going on when there's softball games going on. And then we also purchased a temporary fence to help with the CCS playoff, and it will also help if the program wants to do any fundraising. They can charge for admission, and they can use that temporary fence to fence in the fields. We also extended from the dugout. We extended the fencing. There's a set of bleachers out there, and we extended the fencing so for fan safety. And then the last thing that is still an issue, or something we continue to talk about, is the housing neighborhood surrounding the fields. And we're still entertaining ideas. Some of the ideas right now are quite expensive and would require a larger funding stream. But you know, we're still open to those ideas and trying to work out that at this time. And that's it. Are there any questions?
I think we have a speaker, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, Bill Beecher.
Good evening, Bill Beecher, Madam President, Dr. Rodriguez, trustees, and staff. This is long overdue. I'm thrilled. But I also have some concerns because I think there's some potential holes in this plan, and it has to do with maintenance. History tells us that everybody means well with maintenance. After 2 or 3 years, maintenance tends to disappear and the fields will go to hell. Now, why am I worried? Boys, baseball is dying. They rarely use the field. Girls softball is big time here. If you go by on the weekends, those fields are full. People are all over the place. Those fields get a lot of wear and tear. So I think you got to do something more than what's been proposed. So what I'm going to suggest is the state has something like $98 billion of excess revenue. There is money coming, one-time money coming to the school districts. I think some of that money should be used for a synthetic outfield, because I don't care what you do about gophers. They're here to stay. They and the cockroaches will outlast us all. So let's use some of that one-time money to put in a real field that you can maintain, and that these girls can be proud, and we can be proud of what they do, because it's a super team. The boys, they're dying. I mean, soccer and the other sports dominate. So let's think about when that one-time money comes, especially you two guys who are big sports advocates, let's back this girls softball team, because they put a lot of players out there, and this community is much better for it. Thank you.
Come back up. Okay, do any of the trustees have any questions for Colleen and or the players? Danny?
I just want to start off say thank you, Colleen, for always supporting Watsonville sports. I don't think I met you officially, but I used to play Little League, and I remember at Ramsey Park, and I remember seeing your last name. I went to Watsonville High from 1996 to 2000, and the girls are always champions back then. In 2020, and the girls, 2022, I'm sorry, and you guys are still champions today. I know it's a big issue. I know there's a lot of restrictions. Caltrans, the neighbors. I go to support the teams because you guys are, constantly winners. And as Mr. Beecher was saying, there has to be more ways that we could support you guys. And the idea that I had, and a lot of people in the community have, is, is it possible to switch fields next to the boys' baseball team? I mean, how would that work? Because like I said, I know there's a lot of restrictions, ADA issues, Caltrans, neighbors. What would it look like if we could move the field around? I mean, would there be more or less restrictions?
So we did an analysis of that, and so at that point, it was $1.4 million to move. That was months ago, and costs continue to go up. We are investing almost $3 million into Watsonville High. We chose to do the large bleachers at Geyser Field and the bathrooms. The board would have to, if there is additional one-time monies coming in, the board would have to then decide to allocate funds, because at this point, the transfer would probably have less restrictions if we went over in that direction, but it would require us to invest, I would probably say 1.5 by now, if not more, just because prices continue to skyrocket every month. And so that would have to be a board decision over other priorities that we also consider to be health and safety. So personally, it's not about supporting athletics or supporting the team or not supporting the team. It's all about just prioritization. And I mean, everyone knows that my son's a college athlete, and so I believe in athletics. And being a female, of course, I want to support our female athletes because I was a female athlete myself, but it will just become a board decision at that point because it's definitely not a cheap endeavor to move them.
Well, I like to thank you guys, and I know there's people in the community, that I went to high school with, and, they're always asking, and I need you guys to come out here and to tell us about the girls' softball fields. I hear you guys, I'm listening, thank you for making this presentation, but it takes the Watsonville community to come and help us, say, hey, we want to do this for the girls, and I encourage people to keep coming and tell us what you guys want so we can move ahead. Thank you.
Do you want to, Trustee Soto?
Yeah, thanks for the presentation, Colleen. It's good to see the progress in those fields. My oldest daughter was a Watsonville graduate, and I'm sure you remember her. She played with your daughter for a while. Softball was pretty big to us with my girls coming up, and it's some of you are going to enjoy the improvements because you're coming up through the grades, and some of you are going to enjoy it partially because you're on your way out, and it's just the progress of the development of the school. But all in all, it's good to see the changes that, we have a lot of great tournaments here in this city, with the strawberry fields and the other things, that go on at Rolling Hills and Watsonville. So it's good to see that we'll have a little bit more presentable facilities for those types of things to make it more inviting for the community and for others coming out of the area and the overall economy of the city. So, good job, enjoy it, and congratulations on your current streak right now. Hopefully it keeps going. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Orozco?
I think everything has been said. We're obviously in support of improving our facilities, our fields, so I appreciate the presentation with the updates. Thank you for being here.
Trustee Shocker, did you want to make a comment? Jen? I don't know if she can hear me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are.
Sorry, there's like a delay. I just want to say thank you for the report. And I know that we do support athletics throughout our district, and we have a wonderful girls softball team, and we are doing our best to try and find solutions to give them a field that they deserve. So thank you for the presentation tonight, and let's continue to figure it out.
Thanks. Go Wildcats.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up we have our action items, and we'll start with item 9.1. Oh, I'm sorry. No, we will not. We have 8.2, our California State Seal of Biliteracy. And I'm sorry I stole your thunder earlier.
With the number?
Yeah, I'm so
I know.
sorry.
I have a line in here about the big reveal.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
While we're getting the PowerPoint up, good evening, President DeSerpa, members of the board, and Dr. Rodriguez. Tonight, I once again have the privilege of presenting you with this year's update on the California State Seal of Biliteracy. Before we get going, I want to once again acknowledge the academic counselors at each site for connecting with students and supporting them and our team with the process to identify students that are qualified to receive the seal. The seal is recognition bestowed on seniors who have attained a high level of proficiency in both English and another language or multiple languages. The criteria are proficiency in English is demonstrated through English required courses. Also, language other than English, and there's multiple ways to achieve this criteria, most commonly through passing a set of courses leading through AP courses. Mostly we have Spanish recipients. For students that are currently English learners, they need to get a 4 on their LPAC. The SBAC criteria has been waived for the last 2 years. It will be reinstated next year. It was modified due to COVID. One thing that we are working towards is a series of awards for 5th graders and 8th graders. So in our dual language programs, we are going to be expanding these the pathway so that we truly have a TK-12 pathway for students to become multiliterate. And here's the big reveal. As you can see, we have been growing steadily throughout the years, and it was mentioned we actually were one of the very first districts in the state. And we had 45 students awarded in 2012, and now we're at 184. And we're really proud of that, and we're really proud of our students. This is a breakdown by site. Want to give some props to Pacific Coast and Virtual Academy, who made this list for the first time this year. So we're getting more students and we're getting more schools represented, so we're proud of that. Once again, you see Pajaro Valley High School with the lion's share. And we've talked about it in the past. There are multiple reasons and variables to that. And one thing that I don't know why it took so long for me to realize this, but of all of our elementary schools, we've had 3 schools that are late exit bilingual programs, kindergarten through 5th grade, and they all predominantly send students to PV High. So I think that's a really cool connection between the work that we're doing for our dual language programs and growing those programs throughout our district, and the idea that we're going to have more and more every year because we're increasing and improving those programs. Here's a picture from the other day, from last week. We did it at PV High. It was a lovely evening. Some of you were there, some in the audience were here. We had most of our students receive their medals. And then here's some photos. Any questions?
Do we have any speakers?
There are no
Item
speakers.
8.2, no speakers. Any comments or questions from the board? Already spoke about it, yeah. Congratulations to everybody. It's a beautiful program.
Yeah.
I do have a question about the dual language programs. So are the what are they called? The certificates that are awarded to these kids in the 5th and 8th grade only available in the dual immersion programs, or?
Currently, we don't have them, but the idea is that there's actually, the state now has 2 different programs. One is for all students participating in a dual language program When they exit 5th and 8th grade, then there's a certificate they can receive. And then there's an additional award, which is represented by the ribbon, which is kind of more rigorous criteria for students who are multilingual, who don't necessarily need to participate in a dual language program, but can qualify similar to the SEAL.
So for kids that are speaking dual languages but aren't in a dual language school because, potentially they don't live in that area or they didn't
Right.
make the wait list or whatever, are they looked at and given certificates if they continue to?
For the 5th and 8th, or
Yeah.
for all of them? Yeah. So
All of them, okay.
for the actual awards established by the state,
Yeah.
including this one, that criteria is for all students.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's my question. Thank you. Maria?
Yes, well, first of all, I'm sorry I couldn't be there. I was really upset about that. But as far as you mentioned how now we're moving towards middle school and elementary level, how does the outreach look like?
How does the outreach to attract students to those programs? We're building our programs. Currently, we are in some version of K-5 for multiple schools. Next year, Freedom, which started kindergarten 5 years ago, will be going to 5th grade with their official dual language program. We have some schools that are K-1 this year. And our hope and goal is to expand those programs, move into middle school, and continue the pathway all the way to K-12.
So that's just on the schools that already have a dual immersion program in place. So that's Freedom and what other schools?
Currently, in some version, we have Freedom, Hyde, Amesti, and Starlight is in the list as well as going into a dual language. And then Alianza is K-8. And that's our two-way.
And just to add on, I think what we find is through student services and inter-district transfers, we do have people who ask to be in those schools. And so we have seen, for example, Freedom has significantly shifted the amount of students that even want regular SEI, so structured English immersion, versus their dual language program. And so through our various programs, whether it's Emerald Lagasse, where now people want to go to Starlight not only for the bilingual program, but also the Emerald Lagasse program, then we are doing that through our student services and our intra and inter-district transfers. So we're even finding some people from out of the district who are wanting to come to us, which is what ultimately is our goal, right? Which is to get back students and also increase the number of students who stay within the system. But the big point is we know research-wise that early exit is not as good as late exit, and late exit is not as good as dual immersion, and so our heritage program. And so because of that, we're trying to shift our early exit programs to become either late start or best dual immersion programs.
This sounds like an agenda item in the future. We're going to need a full report on this. Yeah, this is great.
We'd be happy to.
Yeah. Okay, any more questions down on this side? Or from Trustee Shocker?
Thank you for that presentation. I'm glad that I was able to be there for a little while, and let's keep growing this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, thank you.
Take care. Okay, next we have action items. The first one on the list is item 9.1. Okay, item 9.1, Pajaro Regional Flood Management Agency.
All right, I think I'm good.
Thank you for waiting.
No problem. I appreciate having time on your busy agenda. Good evening, Board President DeSerpa, members of the board, Superintendent Rodriguez. My name is Kim Floyd. I'm the Public Outreach Coordinator for the Pajaro Regional Flood Management Agency. I'm here tonight to introduce the agency, talk about its areas of responsibility and the problems it's trying to resolve, and its proposed assessments for levee operations and maintenance. And the relevance to the district is the district owns 25 properties that are subject to the proposed assessment. So what is the Pajaro Regional Flood Management Agency? It was formed last year. It's a joint powers authority of the counties, the City of Watsonville, the Monterey County Water Resource Agency, and Santa Cruz County Flood Control and Water Conservation District. It is governed by a 5-member board of directors, and our founding board members include Santa Cruz County Supervisors Greg Caput, represented here tonight by Ramon Gomez, also Supervisor Zach Friend, City of Watsonville, and we are represented on our board by Dr. Nancy Biliteracy. And then from Monterey County, we have Supervisors Luis Alejo and John Phillips. So what's the problem the agency was formed to resolve? Its sole mission is to reduce flood risk to life, property, and the economy in the lower Pajaro River region, which includes the urbanized areas of portions of Watsonville and the town of Pajaro, some surrounding agricultural properties. And these communities have extreme flood risk. The levees that protect these communities currently only provide an 8-year level of flood protection. That's among the lowest in the state and certainly among the nation for federal flood control facilities, and this is a federal flood control facility. There's a long history of flooding here, and some of you may have been intimately familiar with that. That's not likely to change in the future unless something changes in terms of repairs, maintenance, and improvements. And because floods are likely here, the Federal Emergency Management Agency has designated large portions of the community as a special flood hazard area. With that comes mandatory flood insurance requirements for any property with a mortgage, more expensive flood insurance for business and commercial properties, industrial properties, and restrictions on building. And that would include ag properties. For example, if they wanted to build a barn, they would not be allowed to do so. Compounding the issue is that funding for ongoing levee operations and maintenance is woefully inadequate. This is kind of a busy slide, but this is a good look at the problem. So the red line across the bottom is your existing level of flood protection, and you can see that the graph, or the bar chart rather, is represents the floods since 1955, and all but one exceeded the existing level of flood protection. The most serious flood in recent history was in 1995 when the town of Pajaro was flooded. It caused 2 deaths and $100 million in damages. The top red horizontal line is what we're trying to achieve, and that's 100-year flood protection. So the agency's job is to try to close that delta between 8-year flood protection and 100-year flood protection. 100-year flood protection is really considered the minimum standard for urban communities, and it is what this community deserves. So what's the proposed solution? It's twofold. The first, in the immediate near term, we have to improve levee operations and maintenance. Over the long term, or still near term, but longer term, is improve levees to provide up to 100-year flood protection. So looking at our immediate need, improving maintenance of the existing levees. This is important because we have to maintain that 8-year level of flood protection. We can't afford to let it erode further by neglecting operations and maintenance. Currently, levee operations and maintenance is done by the counties separately on either side of the river. We're proposing to consolidate flood system operations and maintenance under the agency, which is expected to improve cost efficiencies and also service efficiencies. Adequate funding for levee operations and maintenance is $3.8 million per year. Currently, the counties bring in through Zones 1 and 1A in Monterey County and Zone 7 in in Santa Cruz County, about $2.6 million. That results in a $1.2 million shortfall annually for levee operations and maintenance. So again, our major near-term concern is that we don't have the money we need to maintain the existing level of flood protection for this community. Longer term, we need to improve the levees, and for the first time after 60 years of fighting for a project to improve levees, the community finally has a shot at doing so. The agency is partnering with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the California Department of Water Resources on a $400 million Pajaro River flood risk management project. That project will strengthen levees along the Pajaro River, Salsas Puentes Creek, and Corralitos Creek up to Green Valley Road. As a first for a project of this type, the federal and state governments are willing to pay 100% of the project costs. Typically, the local community is required to pay 10%, or in this case, that would be about $40 million for this community. But thanks to efforts by Senator Laird and Assembly Members Rivas and Stone, the state has agreed to pay the full local cost share as well. On one condition, because there's always strings attached, right? You know that probably better than most. We have to be able to provide assurances to the state and federal governments that we have the financial wherewithal to maintain levees, not only in the near term, but in the long term. Without those assurances, we cannot sign the funding agreements for the $400 million project, which means we won't have a project. So not only will we not be able to maintain the levees that we have, what's in front of us, we will lose out on the opportunity to improve them to that 100-year flood protection. If, however, we can demonstrate our ability to fully fund levee maintenance, project construction would begin in 2025, and the levees would be completed within 7 to 8 years. So, how do we get adequate funding? We are proposing a property to bridge that $1.2 million annual shortfall. That will help us, again, in the near term, bolster levee operations and maintenance services, and in the long term, it will keep us eligible for the $400 million levee improvement project. In accordance with Prop 218 law, only properties that receive benefit can be assessed, and the benefit is the avoidance of flood damages to land, structures, and contents as a result of levee maintenance services. Every property's assessment is different, and I'll get to that after this slide. This is the proposed assessment district boundary. You can see that all of the properties in purple are included in the proposed assessment district. All of those properties benefit from the avoidance of flood damages from levee maintenance. Again, each property's assessment is specific to its individual risk, and we determine that using a number of factors to include their relative flood risk, so where they're located in the flood system, how many miles of levees are they exposed to, what is their land use type, and that we have rates for different types of land use because a commercial structure might suffer more greatly than a single-family residential, for example, in terms of damages. Parcel size, that's for land damage, and we do that based on acreage and fractions thereof. Size of the structure, again, driving that contents and structure damage calculation. The average depth of flooding based on our levee failure modeling, and also the percentage of the parcel that's flooded. Any parcel that had less than 10% flooding was excluded from our proposed assessment district. So here's a look at the land use classifications, average assessments, and this always trips people up because no one is the average, as you know, but it does give you a good sample too of the number of properties in each land use classification. For the school district's properties, they are either vacant or considered commercial because they're most like office buildings rather than industrial, for example. So just some key facts. Again, this proposed assessment is not for the project, it's for levee maintenance. However, it will make us eligible for the project funding. Past flooding is not predictive of future flooding. So we can't say because our property wasn't flooded in 1995, it's not going to be flooded in 2025 or 2035. Depends on where the levee breaks and the volume of water coming down into the system. Flood insurance, which some people have, is still a disaster cleanup payment. It's not a way to prevent flooding. Those properties that are most especially vulnerable are those without flood insurance. And floods are one of the only natural disasters that we can prevent with proper planning and investment, and that's what we're attempting to do now. And just to put it into perspective, the $400 million in state and federal investment, if you were just to do simple math, there are about 3,000 properties in the proposed assessment area. That investment is worth about $130,000 for every property So you can imagine that it would be unaffordable to try to do this without state and federal support. To the Prop 218 process, only property owners can vote. They vote by mail. Ballots were sent out at the end of April on the 22nd, and they have to be returned within 45 days as per state law. And so they have to be returned by June 8th. Ballots are weighted by the proposed assessment. It's basically $1 equals 1 vote. So if you have a $100 assessment, you have 100 votes. The assessment is approved if the votes that come in are in favor outweigh the votes opposed. And if it's approved, the assessment will take effect this fall, and the board has already passed a resolution to convene an assessment oversight committee in the event the assessment is approved by property owners. So, just very quickly, this is a yes or no decision, and property owners will decide. There is a cost either way. There's a cost to voting yes and a cost to voting no. A yes vote means a new assessment on property taxes. It also means improved services in the near term for levee operations and maintenance, which will decrease the risk of flood-related damage to properties, keep us eligible for the $400 million state and federal project. When that project is built, we will achieve that 100-year flood protection that this community so richly deserves. And the properties that are within the special flood hazard area now subjected to mandatory flood insurance and building restrictions will be removed, and those requirements will go away. But a no vote does not mean no cost. If we are unsuccessful, levee maintenance services will be reduced to account for the budget shortfall. That will bring with it increased risk of flood-related damages to properties as that 8-year level of flood protection continues to erode. The community will lose eligibility for the $400 million in funding. They are competitive funds, so they will be sent elsewhere in the state and nation. And again, as I mentioned before, that leaves uninsured properties especially vulnerable. The FEMA Special Flood Hazard Area will remain in place, and we would expect with climate change and all of the focus that that's receiving, that FEMA will revisit the community and reconsider increasing the size of that zone. Those property owners will continue to pay mandatory flood insurance and be subjected to building restrictions. So we've had 5 community meetings along with other neighborhood community meetings. We've sent out 3 mailers plus the ballots. We've tried to do a good job of getting information to property owners. We will close this process out with a public hearing on June 8th. Again, ballots must be in hand with the agency by that date. If they're postmarked June 8th and delivered June 9th, we can't count them by law. We have a pretty robust website which has a lot of information on the project, on the proposed assessment, frequently asked questions. We have a hotline, and we're encouraging people to reach out to us with questions about their assessments. Thank you.
And just a note, I am in receipt of the ballots. They made sure that I have the ballots. So after the board vote, then that would give me the permission to vote for you on your ballots, and then they would be able to be mailed out tomorrow.
Okay, do we have any speakers?
There are no speakers.
Any questions from the board or discussion? Trustee Dodge?
Just to briefly make a comment, as a lifelong Watsonville resident, we're always worried about flooding. My great-grandparents, Nita and me, Lucy's live right here off College Road, and they would show us how the Corlitos Creek would rise and it would flood their backyards. And so that's one of the things that I remember about how susceptible we are to flooding. I was here when the Pajaro River broke, and it's scary because it could have easily been our side. And, you know, I live on Lincoln, Watsonville, all of our schools, you know, we're in the flood zone, so it's obviously dangerous. So, you know, Watsonville leaders, you know, Ari Parker, Dr. Nancy Biliteracy, Supervisor Greg Caput, John Martinelli, they all support this, and I support this agenda item as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Trustee Soto?
Yeah, it's good information. When the flood of '95 occurred, I was with the police department at the time, and you spoke of loss of life. The gentleman that did drown, I witnessed when when he went in the water and saw his head bobbing up and down, and there was not much we could do for him. And I don't recall we ever found him. So it was pretty real when you see the entire area of Pajaro flooded the way it was, but there was no access. My uncle lived on Cayetano at the time. His house was pretty rough. So yeah, it's a very real scenario. And I think the last time we had a serious storm pretty close to that was probably in '98, because we were down for a while up on my hill. But yeah, this is a very, very real thing, and the levee does need a lot of work with all those willows that are in there to clog everything up to prevent this from happening in the future. So thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Orozco?
But just want to say I will be supporting this item for the reasons already mentioned. I think I was pretty young when the Pajaro flooding happened, but I do remember my parents housing some of the families who had lost their homes. So whatever we can do to prevent that from happening, I will support.
Thank you. And any comment from Trustee Shocker?
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, I will be supporting this item tonight. I think it's important that we take any protective measures that we can.
Thank you. I have a quick question about the assessment. If you could go to slide 12. So, perfect. So the multifamily residential versus the single-family residential, I'm not quite clear on what that means. What does multifamily residential mean?
Apartments.
Apartments, thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
So the other thing I heard you say is that the closer to the river somebody lives, the higher their assessment would be. Is that right?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Because in some cases, some homes next to the river are elevated. And so we do take into account elevation when we're looking at potential flood damages to a property. But where the property is located in relation to other properties determines relative flood risk. So for example, if you're in the area of the senior villages or Watsonville High School, for example, you have a higher flood risk than some properties that are further up the system along Corralitos Creek. So you would have a greater relative flood risk, and that's reflected. That's because you're exposed to more levee miles, and as they do the levee breach analysis and break those levees, see where the water goes, you'd have a greater flood risk.
Okay. I mean, I haven't done an analysis of what the homes cost that are closer to the river, but my guess is that
it's not based on assessed value.
Right.
In fact, by state law, we're not allowed to do that.
Okay.
So it's based on a depth damage curve that was produced by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers
So
that
there's
looks at flood depth
Okay.
versus the type of structure and what type of contents you would expect to see replacement costs. Square, yeah. So
yeah,
that-
I understand it, but I feel like when people bought those homes, they probably knew I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but it just, I feel like it's almost an unfair burden to ask people that took the risk of being closest. That maybe it was less expensive to move closer to the river, and now they're being assessed a higher value. I think everyone should have an equal assessment, but anyway, that's just my opinion.
So, yeah, and that's another complication under Prop 218. It used to be pre-Prop 218, you could just do kind of similar to a fee where you said every single-family residential will pay $100.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore because it has to be based on.
Yeah, I understand you have prescribed rules
Yes.
around this, so
Yes.
I'll be supporting. You'll have unanimous support, it sounds like, tonight from the members who are present.
Thank you.
I'm sure Jen Holm would support this as well, but she's not here tonight. So I don't know, can she still vote, or is it just us?
We vote as a team.
Oh, as a team. Okay, fantastic. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you so much for your time this evening.
I would like to make a motion to approve this item.
Yeah.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Jen says aye. The motion carries 5-0 2. Thank you. Okay, next up, we have item 9.2, the naming of Aptos Junior High School multipurpose room as the Bob Wallace Gymnasium.
We're going to actually have Bob and his family move up to the front row if we can. Good evening, President DeSerpa, Board of Trustees, Dr. Rodriguez. Have the honor of being able to lift us off this evening and talk a little bit about Bob. But following Board Policy 7310A, Aptos Junior has gathered a committee together within those guidelines, and Mr. Phillips will be sharing with us the outcome. It is not a secret since it's certainly on here, but Bob Wallace's name has been brought forward. I will tell you that I am also a Sea Dragon parent, so when I saw the name come through, I will tell you that from a student voice perspective, my car has been full of young ladies that are full of, oh my gosh, Mr. Wallace made us do, to getting to the point of a couple of weeks saying, holy cow, I just broke my 7-minute mile. So he not only has had an impact, but less than a week ago, you know you've arrived with kids when they have your parents slow down the car so they can say hi to them. So pretty big deal for a middle schooler to say, slow down, I gotta say hi to him. And the last thing that she responded to me was, he's always so respectful of people. So I wanted to be able to share that with you, Bob, and I know that you will be retiring, but just incredible how much you've given the kids, and I personally thank you as well. And with that, I will hand it over to Mr. Phillips to go through the process of the naming, and we are going to be seeking approval of that naming this evening.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, President DeSerpa, trustees, Dr. Rodriguez, and the cabinet. The process took place by organizing some committee meetings where the exploration of the name of the gym would take place. We were fortunate to have some monies available this year to renovate our gym at Aptos Junior High. We have a brand new hardwood floor. It's beautiful, brand new facilities inside. We have a non-gender binary changing room that was added to it. So we really had some tremendous upgrades to our facility, and we felt like it was time to name it and give it a permanent marquee. So committee meetings were held in March and April. These committee meetings were advertised on the Aptos Junior website. They were sent out to our community through parent newsletters, and they were advertised in local newspapers, the Aptos Times and the Pajaronian. The committees then determined criteria for how to name the building, and the committee decided on these particular criteria. The person who the building would be named after would have to have a significant contribution to the Aptos sports community, have been a coach in the community, had been some sort of leader in the school community, had a long service time at Aptos Junior High, and demonstrated integrity, was a role model, a mentor, and a teacher at the site. The community then, therefore, unanimously put forward the name of Bob Wallace Gymnasium for your consideration. Bob Wallace has been a teacher at Aptos Junior High School for his entire 40-year teaching career, this being his last year, so we congratulate him on his long service in the district and at our school site. There on the left, you can see one of his former students at Aptos Junior High School, a former Sea Dragon, now coach and athletic director at Aptos Junior High, which speaks very much to his impact in the community, both at our school site and throughout the area. You probably can't read them, but at the bottom of the screen there's some great quotes from students in a former yearbook, and Coach Wallace in quite the hairstyle. I'll read it out loud, but try to breeze through it. In a 40-year career, Bob Wallace has served in many responsibilities, duties, and roles at Aptos Junior High in support of other schools in the community. Mr. Wallace, first and foremost, is a teacher and has taught, mentored, and been a role model for thousands upon thousands of students. In his roles as tennis, track, and field and basketball coach, he has had the opportunity to mentor countless student athletes at Aptos Junior High and Aptos High School. Mr. Wallace has provided leadership as the PE department chair and athletic director throughout much of his career. Throughout his career, he has supported students, athletes, staff, and parents through Aptos Junior High, Aptos High School, PVUSD, and the greater community. There are current PVUSD employees who credit Mr. Wallace for encouraging them to become teachers, and Mr. Wallace is also a member of the Aptos High School Sports Hall of Fame. Despite all the credentials listed above, I am sure he would say this thing, what does it say? He is the most undeserving, but that we raised 3 wonderful daughters that were all the products of PVUSD schools. Here's some more examples of Coach Wallace's contributions. That guy on the left must have been really tall, Coach. And you're a tall guy. He's almost up there. And this is a story of Coach Wallace's hair over the years. I did steal that one from your mantle in your house. I don't know if you remember the day I took a picture of it. And if you can do one thing for me, Coach, before you retire, is teach me how to wear the short shorts. We're going to need to bring those back. Bob Wallace believed, it's in past tense, he still believes strongly in the power of community. His community was Aptos Junior High School. He spent 40 years there, all at the same school. And we are humbled by the opportunity to honor Coach Wallace and his legacy for his many years of contributions of time, energy, and positive, enduring Sea Dragon spirit. So we respectfully submit to the board for the consideration and approval of our request to name our gymnasium the Bob Wallace Gymnasium. Thank you.
It's a great presentation. Do we have any speakers to this item?
There's one, John Sims.
Hi, Mr. Sims.
Good evening, President DeSerpa, members of the board, Dr. Rodriguez, and cabinet. My name is John Sims, and I wear a lot of hats. I'm a teacher at Aptos Junior High School. My children attend PVUSD schools, and my family lives in the community served by PVUSD. Tonight, I'd like to share with you 3 short stories. The first is from last Saturday when my oldest son and I were talking in the car. During our conversation, we realized that his last 3 PE teachers were all former students of Bob Wallace. Not only has his teaching inspired others to lead a more active life, Bob inspires his students to become PE teachers themselves. This is the impact Bob Wallace has on his students. Over the years, I've been lucky to be able to call Bob a friend. We ride our bikes through the forest of Nicene Marks, and as we pass by others, the forest fills with, "Hi, Bob," or "Hey, Mr. Wallace." After 40 years of students, his children, grandchildren, his faith, the teams he has coached, and his time living in Aptos, I'd not be surprised if even the birds know who he is. This is his renown among our community. My last story is from working with Bob for the last 20 years at Aptos Junior High School. For many years, Bob has supervised students at break as they wait for the buses after school. He's generous with the time and attention he gives to the students in these moments, talking with them, reminding them of school expectations, giving out fist bumps, laughs, and sly grins. His attitude created a positive environment where everyone feels welcome and included at school. This is his impact at Aptos Junior High School. I urge you to consider the efforts of the naming committee and join us in support of dedicating the Aptos Junior High Gym as the Bob Wallace Gymnasium. Thank you for your time.
President DeSerpa and board, I have 2 questions for you. Unfortunately, I do have a couple of folks that asked us to be able to speak. I missed Mr. Shiro, who was also part of the presentation earlier. I'd like to give him an opportunity to be able to speak if it's possible.
It's granted.
Thank you.
Good evening. I just wanted to share a quick story. I was the student in his PE class at Aptos Junior High, 8th grade. Didn't know him, and we made a connection, and he became a dad to me. To this day, he's the reason why I became a teacher. He went on in high school. I was a tennis player for him. He was my coach. Nobody in my family ever graduated college, and he inspired me. I remember asking him the question, "How do you become a PE teacher?" And he took me under his wing, and we could honestly write a book. He was in my wedding, one of my groomsmen. I was fortunate to be the officiant of one of his daughter's weddings. He's family, and it just shows you the impact of a teacher, what they have on kids. I am that example. I didn't have a dad growing up. He took me under his wing in junior high. He became my high school tennis coach. He was at my college graduation, in my wedding, and now the last 4 years I've been able to teach with him, and it's been the honor of my life. I'm so proud to know him, and there is nobody in my life that has had a bigger impact on me. And so I love you, Coach, and I just want you to know I'm so grateful to have you in my life. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there any comments or questions from the board? Any discussion? Oh, is there one more person? Oh, sorry about that. Dr. Biliteracy, come on up.
That's right. Out of time. It's only going to take a minute. I just want to say that physical education has always been very important in my life, as my mom was a physical education teacher. But I had the privilege to work with Bob Wallace as his principal for I don't know how many years at Aptos Junior. He was always a gentleman. The students loved him. He has made such an impact on this community. And I think this is a great honor for him. So thank you for the consideration.
Thank you, Dr. Biliteracy. Okay, now any comments from our Board of Trustees? Start down on this end. Trustee Orozco.
Just in full support of this item tonight. I think it's phenomenal when we have one of our own who's very much invested in the community, and to just see the impact that you have had over the years on students. One which we have present here with us, and is just very inspirational. And I think if we could fill up, all our schools with role models like yourself, who are willing to go that extra step and really take the time to inspire and motivate students. I think it's just thank you.
Thank you. Anyone down here have any comments?
Trustee Orozco said it all.
Okay. Jen Shocker, anything?
Nope, it's all been covered. Thank you.
Well, I'm Kim. I'm the Aptos rep on the Board of Trustees, one of two. And I'm so sorry that we made you wait this long in the audience for the honor. Had I known, I should have known, I would have put it up earlier on the agenda. I'm really sorry you got to see some very interesting things tonight.
I appreciate their patience.
But, like I said, I was at the retirement, and the people like you, I started crying listening to the presentation, and it's people like you that are irreplaceable, and we're really going to miss you at Aptos Junior. So I hope you come back and volunteer or sub or somehow stay attached to the kids. So thank you for the many years of service. We really appreciate you, and I'm very proud to make a motion to support the Bob Wallace Gymnasium at Aptos Junior High School.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? The motion carries unanimously tonight. Thank you. Thank you. And I think we should have can we have a picture? Can we stop real quick to have a picture? Yeah, where's Alicia, can we get a picture? Do you guys mind? Can we all get together for a quick picture?
Oh, there's Jen. If she open your mouth, it Kim. Please come with it. Please come with it. Whoever came to support him, please come to the picture. If you're here to support him. What's your wedding? I can't see Jennifer Shocker. Thank you, Miguelito. Yeah, thanks. Beautiful. 1, 2, 3. Jennifer, smile. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's done. It's done. It's done. Okay.
I love it.
Are you up next?
I think so. If I'm reading the agenda correctly, yes.
And Bob, thank you to your wife for putting up with all the long hours and everything, really. Thank you. Aww. Okay, it's nice to have a positive thing like that happen. Okay, item 9.3, approve a memorandum of understanding between PVUSD and PVFT on virtual academy and internet stipend.
Yes. Thank you, President DeSerpa, Board of Trustees, Dr. Rodriguez. So before you tonight is an MOU renewal. We already have this in place for our virtual academy teachers to receive a $100 stipend per month in order to have internet service at home and phone in order to communicate and work with students, since they are not actually physically in a building that we own. So this is the same MOU that we presented 2 years ago, and it's just up for renewal. So I request that you please approve the MOU as presented.
Are there any speakers to this item?
No, there are not.
9.3. Okay, any discussion from the board? Seeing none, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 502. Thank you. Next is item 9.4, a new course for art. Is it Art 1? I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. Art 1 for ethnic studies.
Yes. Good evening, President DeSerpa, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Rodriguez. As part of our commitment to developing students' talents, passion, and interests, tonight I'm bringing forward for approval a new course, Art 1 Ethnic Studies. Do you have the presentation by chance? All right. This course focuses on building visual theory and application, as well as analysis of current topics surrounding ethnic studies, such as indigeneity, identity, decolonization, and social movements towards equity for all. Students can earn visual and performing art credits or ethnic studies credits. Our current ethnic studies graduation requirements applies to this year's freshman class, so the class of 2025. A team of visual art teachers met monthly throughout this past year in collaboration with San Francisco State University-based community responsive education, and they use the framework of rethinking ethnic studies as a basis to develop the framework for the Art 1 class. The 4 major units in the ethnic studies portion of the Art 1 are identity, indigeneity, roots, systems of power, equity, and healing. And in conjunction, students will be doing artwork with painting, drawing, digital art, murals, and as well as 3D models and designs. A quote, you can sit around and wait for somebody to say who you are, or you need to write it and paint it and do it so that you know who you are. With that, staff asks for your approval of the new course, Art 1 Ethnic Studies, to be offered at all high schools in the fall of 2022. Thank you.
Thank you. Any speakers to this issue?
No speakers.
Okay, any comments or discussion from the board members? No, okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
And I'll just say, this is amazing, so exciting. So thank you for bringing this forward. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 502. Thank you. This is item 9.5, acceptance of SUMS MTSS Phase 3 grant.
Good evening, President DeSerpa.
lifesaver. You're always there when we need you. All right. So the goal of this grant is to support increased student outcomes in the form of supporting our students with social, emotional, behavioral, and academic supports through the implementation of MTSS. And then this grant will provide additional funding for our teachers to be given professional development modules and to also have job embedded focused ones, meaning whatever pertains to the psychologist role in MTSS, they're going to be given that professional development and just like the principal or a teacher or a classified IA. So it is tailored for them. It also builds in common grounding and foundation for the MTSS work also. And so it will, in addition, it will provide coaching for the implementation of MTSS for our site administration at the 3 sites and provide other resources. So we are also confident that this is a good model to learn from, so we can also share the strategies and the learnings to other sites across the district. So with that said, staff requests your approval.
Are there any speakers to this one?
We have one, Chris Webb.
I want to say I'm for professional development, I'm for MTSS. My concern is that what I've noticed with MTSS this year is not so much that the teachers are the biggest issue with it, but that higher levels or higher tiers of it outside of the direct site are kind of lacking a little bit. Like, for example, I'm marking kids absent when they're absent, but I don't really see, like, I'm not seeing that something's happening eventually when these absences rack up, and that level of support, it's not there. I haven't noticed it to be there. I'm thinking that rather than PD, I'd like to see that some things that I know have worked for support, because we've given up a lot at Renaissance to kind of put our faith in MTSS. Like, I know our after-school program where we had in-person teachers, that worked, and that made students like value coming to school, because when you missed, you had to make up your time and you had to be here, and it made a culture where it mattered to come to school. And we've kind of like moved to like more of a drop-in program since the MTSS, and it's a little demoralizing for teachers. Another thing I kind of would want to see, like, for MTSS, money for a drug and alcohol counselor. I get it if you can't afford it for every site, but maybe if, like, we could refer to somebody from the district level who could take care of that, that'd be good. Or sports was big for our site. Like, that got good. Sometimes a kid will come to school just for that. And thank you for your time.
Thanks, Chris. Are there any comments or questions from the board on this item? Trustee Roscoe, do you have anything on this one? No? Okay, looking for a motion.
I move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 502. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 9.6, a resolution 212245, a temporary cash loans from Santa Cruz County Office of Education for fiscal year 2022-2023.
Good evening, President DeSerpa, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Rodriguez. I feel a little bamboozled because I feel like Colleen gave me the two not fun ones and she got the really fun one, but they are actually necessary, even though they are something we do every year and have to do every year per ed code. The first resolution we have in front of you is for temporary cash loans from the county treasurer. So one thing I want to clarify is this is actually cash loans, not because we don't have funding, but because of how our funding comes in as a school district. So as many of you know, property tax makes up the majority of our funding. We only receive property tax payments in cash in 2 months, December and April. So typically we see cash flow uncertainty really around like late November, beginning of December, sometimes in January, but typically it's December, maybe sometimes April. What this allows us to do is borrow from the COE if we need cash. It's typically only for periods no longer than a month, and it just allows us to borrow from the COE if we absolutely need to in order to pay off any expenses and not have to defer expenses to another month.
Okay, are there any speakers to this item?
There are none.
There are none. Any comments or questions from the board? Danny Judge.
I have a question. With property values at an all-time high, why are we borrowing?
So again, this doesn't necessarily mean we're going to borrow. What happens is this has nothing to do with borrowing revenue. What this has to do with is actual cash flow. So we get cash, again, basically in April, we get a large amount of cash, which we use for payrolls April all the way through December. We get our final apportionment from the state, so not our property tax, but the state LCFF apportionment in June. Really, between June and December, we don't see any large amount of cash from the state. We just wait for property tax. So we're not borrowing because we can't afford things or we're trying to borrow to purchase things. It's literally just cash. So it's just cash in hand, and it's just based on how school districts are funded.
All right, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this item.
No, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 502. And then again, this is something that we do every single year just in case we need to. And you're staying up here, aren't you?
I am.
Okay. This is item 9.7, approve a resolution 21-2246, temporary, is this the same one? No, okay, temporary borrowing between funds for fiscal year 2022 and 2023.
Thank you once again, President DeSerpa, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Rodriguez. So yes, while it does look similar to the one we just approved, this one is now interfund borrowing. So this is not borrowing from the COE, which typically when we borrow from the COE, that's our last resort. With our bond fund that we currently have or our self-insured fund, we typically have cash in those funds to borrow from. This is really where we go first when we are doing any sort of borrowing of cash. Again, this is not a loan to take out to pay expenses, it's just cash, and it's between funds. So whether it's our general fund and our bond fund or our general fund and our self-insured fund. So I would ask the board approve this resolution for temporary borrowing if necessary for the 22-23 school year.
Do we have any speakers?
None.
Okay, any questions from the board? I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 502. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
This is item 9.8. We're going to approve architectural agreement for Hamilton Aitken Architects for the Aptos Junior High HVAC Modernization Project number 2023009. And
Good
this report will be by Orlando
Fernandez.
Fernandez.
Good evening.
Fernandez. Thank
Fernandez.
you. Thank you.
Good evening, President DeSerpa and Board of Trustees, Dr. Rodriguez, and Cabinet members. I'm here to present the first item, the architect agreement between Hamilton Aitken Architects for the Aptos Junior High HVAC Modernization Project, number 2023009. And this project, the architects will be designing a new HVAC system to replace the old adequate boiler that's in place since the school was built. This new HVAC system will replace the HVAC system, the boiler system that's there now. Serves the entire NPR system, which when the boiler goes down, it means all the classrooms attached to it go down. We're going to be separating that system to so every classroom has its own HVAC system. So here I want your approval for this is an Azure project, and this is estimated at $1.2 million, and I want to get your approval for the architect agreement for Hamilton and Abatement Architects for $150,488.
Are there any speakers?
There are none.
Okay, so just to be clear, tonight, we're not approving the 1.2 million, we're approving just the architect fees of 150 or something? Okay, $150,488. Any questions or discussion from the board? I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I think motion carries 502. Thank you. I think, is it you again, or Linda?
Yep.
9.9, approve architectural agreement for 19-6 architects for the Rio Del Mar Elementary School stairs and access ramps modernization project number 2023-003.
Good evening, President DeSerpa, board members, Dr. Rodriguez, and Cabinet. My second item here for the approval of the architect agreement, 19-6 architects for Rio Del Mar School Light Stairs and Access Ramps Modernization Project 2023-003. And this is to replace the stairs at the site. It's an Azure project funded. As construction estimated cost is $1.3 million, and here to ask for your approval for the services for the architect, 19-6 architects of $167,500 for their services.
Are there any speakers?
None.
Are there any questions or discussion? I've never heard of 19-6 architects.
Maddie
Are they
Architects,
local?
19-6.
Where are they from?
They're based out of Santa Cruz.
Oh, they are, great.
Maddie Architects.
Yes, I have, okay, yeah.
I
Great.
forgot to say one thing. There was a typo on the project title that is being amendment, and it's going to get amended. And everything else, all the details on it, refer back to the correct project for Rio Del Mar.
Okay, great. Is there any discussion? No?
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 502. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is 9.10, approve the Diamond Technology Institute Career and Technical Education Project, number 2022012.
Good evening once again, President DeSerpa, board members, Dr. Rodriguez, Cabinet. Here to ask for your approval for the Diamond Tech Institute Career Technology Education Project 2022012. On April 1st, 2020, the district advertised the Diamond Technology Institute Career. A mandatory bid walk was held on April 12. 10 contractors were present at that time. On May 6, one sealed bid was received. The district had reviewed the bid and at a cost of $584,101. I'm asking for the approval for 101 Builders, Inc. for the
Okay.
project.
Are there any speakers?
None.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Orlando, I have a question for you.
Yes.
584,000 seems like a lot for one portable. Can you explain the scope of this project a little bit? Because that seems like you could almost build a whole house for that much money. Like, why are we spending that much on one portable? And I know that there are architect fees, have to prepare it, I mean, I understand, but it just seems like a lot.
Well, can I just, so to give
Yes,
you
go
a,
ahead.
perspective, the project at Starlight, which is technically a portable, I mean, it's a built-in, and the location of the garden is going to be 2.6 million, right? So if you think of that project, so it came to the board was 2.6 million. So if you think about it in perspective, one building, it's possible with all the foundation is going to cost.
I might be able to elaborate a little bit, just based on my, experience, with current trends right now with material costs, fuel costs. A lot of that's gone up quite significantly. I mean, I was quoted a delivery from Scotts Valley to Watsonville for $500 just for delivery. And that's just based on fuel costs. So I think those are probably reflected in this bid price based on availability of material, cost of material, transportation costs. I mean, not necessarily labor, but those other factors probably contribute. Like Dr. Rodriguez said, $2 million for the previous project. I mean, it might kind of sum things up and clarify things.
There's also a couple other items that are going to be there, a couple shade structures and a greenhouse. So it's not just one portable. It's other items included in that project.
Other districts around us are actually doing real construction when they're building new things. I just worry that we're putting all these portables because they're cheaper, but they're not going to last. So anyway, that just seems like a tremendous amount of money for a portable. So anyway, I just have those questions, but I'll entertain motion now.
I move to approve.
A second.
Okay, first, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 502. Thank you. Uh-oh. Come back. Item 9.11, approve Ohlone Elementary School admin re-roofing project. Item number 2022019.
Good evening once again, President DeSerpa, Board of Trustees,
Okay, are you back on speaker?
Dr. Rodriguez, and Cabinet. I'm here to ask the approval for the Ohlone admin re-roofing project, 2022019. On March 26th and April 2nd, the district advertised at Ohlone of the Ohlone School admin re-roofing project. A mandatory bid walk was held on the 5th. 4 contractors were present. On May 11th, the district received 1 sealed bid. That sealed bid was from Pebble Construction. For that bid came in at $670,997. I'm asking for the approval for this project. It is an ESSER project.
Any speakers?
None.
Okay, any comments from the board? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 502.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it. Thank you, Orlando. Good job.
Thank you.
Item 9.12, safe return to in-person instruction and continuity of service plan. I think this is a report by Dr. Michelle Rodriguez.
Yes, thanks so much. So we won't go line by line unless you would like to regarding the safe return to in-person instruction and continuity of service plan. This is a requirement of us. So you may remember that in October of 2021 was the first time that you saw this plan, and it was approved by the board. Since then, we're required every 6 months to update the plan. For us, we have maintained that we will always update the plan per Cal OSHA, which is our staff requirement, and CDPH, which is California Department of Health requirements. We must do this every 6 months in order to continue to receive and use ESSER funds. If we don't have this plan in place and we don't review it and approve it every 6 months, then we actually have to stop receiving our allotments of ESSER funds, which would make, he's gone right this moment, but which would make our CBO very unhappy. So I did confer, as is required, we did confer with both of our labor partners. So both PVFT and CSEA were able to provide just overview of this and looked at it. Received one modification which was included. You'll see that it does have some major changes to it. One is in regards to physical distancing. As you know, physical distancing is no longer required. And the second was in terms of face coverings. And so face coverings is also no longer required. So when you look at it, and there really are not many major changes to the document. Those are the two major changes that you will find within the document. And I'd be happy to go over any sections or take any questions from the board.
Are there any speakers to this item?
None.
Okay, any discussion from the board members? Okay. I think we need a motion.
I'll move to approve.
No, second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 502. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. I know that was some work put into that report. Okay, next up, we have our consent agenda. Looking for a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 502. Thank you. So next up, we have item 13.1. This is action and report on closed session, and Trustee Soto will be reading out our. I think so. You'll do good. It's okay. You do great.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter anyway. We'll help you.
All right. Closed session items. Motion 1, closed session item 2.1. I move to approve the certified personnel report as presented by district administration on May 25, 2022 with 13 and 20 additional action items.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 502. Thank you.
Motion number 2, closed session item 2.2. Move to approve classified personnel report as presented by district administration on May 25, 2022 with 10 and 3 additional action items.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 502.
Okay, we have 2 announcements this evening. Announcement number 1, Pajaro Valley Unified School District is pleased to announce the selection of Jeff Docker as a new assistant principal at Watsonville High School. Mr. Docker has been serving students since 1999 as a theater arts director, student advisor, and assistant principal. Mr. Docker holds a variety of degrees consisting of a bachelor's degree in theater from Shenandoah University, a teacher's certification from St. Paul's College, a master's in education from Cal State San Bernardino, an administrative credential from UC Riverside, and a doctorate in education leadership from Nova Southeastern University. He's worked at the secondary level on site leadership teams, leading IEPs and 504s, directing a wide variety of school plays, and has worked with students on helping them achieve both academic and career goals. These experiences will serve him well in his new role. We're proud to welcome this highly accomplished educator to his new administrative role. Announcement number 2. Pajaro Valley Unified School District is pleased to announce the selection of Elizabeth Ortiz as the new academic coordinator of Starlight Elementary. Elizabeth has been serving students since 2016 as a teacher at Starlight. She also served as a lead teacher for the after-school program and summer school program. So after graduating from Watsonville High, she went to obtain a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology from San Jose State and multiple subject teaching credential. She has earned a Master's in Education administrative credential from Concordia University. And we're proud to welcome this highly accomplished educator to her new administrative role. And that's everything.
That's okay, go.
One last item. Item 2.5, closed session, special education settlement for a student. The board voted with a 4-0-3 vote to approve the final compromise and release agreement for a special services student. And this was at 6:40 PM.
Thank you. Our next meeting will be on June 8th, 2022, and we'll see everybody here back at the boardroom. And congratulations to all our graduates, starting with our adult ed tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at graduations, and this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.